Okay, hunting down here in South Texas, you know, it's extremely hot down here in the summertime. Even up into December, sometimes it can get up in the 90s down here, just depending on where you're at. But some places it's hot down like this, you're going to have to think about your strategy especially when you're bow hunting. Let's talk about that. I'll be back with you in a minute. Okay, so one of the things, this ranch that I'm on right now has no standing water on it anywhere. There's not even a cow trough on this place. Uh, there's no livestock in here. There's only wildlife: hogs, deer, bobcats, coyotes, and everything else that goes along with that. But there is no standing water. Now we'll get a tropical depression every once in a while. It'll come in off the coast over there, and it'll drop 6 inches of rain or something like that. Well, there's a couple of those low spots around this ranch that will hold water for a week or so. Outside of that, there is no water source on this ranch. Now, up at the camp house, there's a well up there that used to have an old windmill on it. Now, of course, it's got it's got a pump on it. But what I've done, and it's working pretty good, and I'll show you some pictures right here. Yeah, I've added some water holes, and there's a couple of things you need to understand about them water holes. Is they can't be too big. It's not like watering cattle or horses or something like that. These water holes are, what it is a half a piece of pipe. I'll show you some video here in a minute, and I'll get out and talk about it. But I got a half a piece of pipe, put some rock in the bottom of it, and on one end, what I did was put one of those floats for a cow trough, and then covered that with some wire and cattle panels to keep the hogs off of it and stuff like that. And then I got a 100-gallon water trough over there that I got a barrel in the back of the truck. It takes 2 trips. I go there and fill it up. You can put something bigger, like a big tote or something like that. One of the key things you need to understand about it is that these water out here is it's got to be in a black or dark colored. It can't be exposed to sunlight, because what happens is it starts growing algae in that tank, and that's not good. It stops up everything, and it's just not good. It'll mess everything up. So you got to keep it out of the sunlight. But these water holes, now these animals down here, they got some moisture, and they do survive. Okay, down here they got some moisture just out of the plants that they eat, the vegetation. There's a lot of prickly pear cactus, which is high in moisture content, and these animals have adapted themselves to get moisture from what they eat. And believe it or not, there's a lot of protein down here too. The Weesach and the mesquites and everything else, there's a lot of beans on them. When they hit the ground, these animals thrive on that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of protein here. But if you want to try to concentrate a path or a trail or something like that, you've got to have water out for these animals. And once they start using it, they will use that in the transition between feed and bedding. Okay, now I wouldn't recommend just going and sticking a water trough somewhere and hoping that animals find it. If you're in an area like where you got a deer feeder set up, or there's whatever food source, and then on the way back to the bedding, you got a water trough, you want to put that someplace so you can see it from your deer stand. Now, down here, that is a big plus for bow hunting, because it's so thick down here. There's a lot of places that you can set up on a trail or something in between the bedding and the water, or in between the water and the food, or vice versa. So let me pull up here in a minute, and I'll get out and I'll show you a little bit about this water system that I kind of got set up here. One of the key things is low evaporation. That's why you got such a small trough. This is a piece of 12-inch pipe with rocks in the bottom of it, so there's not very much volume in there, but there is a little bit of area. The deer use it fine, birds and everything, quail and everything else use this. And I got a float down here from like a water trough that you would, for regular cattle or whatever. You can buy that float system from Tractor Supply for about 20 bucks or so. And then I got a pipe running over to a 100-gallon water trough, and I got it covered so the sunlight can't get to it. Now, ideally, what you'd want to do is you'd want to build a little tin shed over this with a gutter system to fill that whenever it does rain. But I am close enough that I can just fill my barrel and bring it out here and fill it up. Doesn't take that very long at all. I would recommend something sturdy to keep the hogs out of your where your water float is. But this is key to concentrating animals where they're not leaving this ranch to go find water somewhere, and they're not traveling so far to get a drink. There's food right over there about 50 yards away, and then they got water, and then they got bedding area over here, and it's very, very thick stuff. So it's vital that for it to last a long time, you probably could get about a month out of this 100-gallon tank, and with animals using it every day. So think about that whenever you're, setting yourself up with your feeder or whatever down here in Texas. One of the last things I want to talk about is where you put these things. You can't just randomly put them anywhere. I guess you could if you wanted to, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to concentrate these animals from leaving their food source and going way off the ranch, or going, completely off your property to go find water. If you got water here and you got a food source over there 50, 75 yards away, these animals start to get to where they transition between this water and that food and bedding. Now around here, anywhere could be a bedding area. I mean, it's so thick down here, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. These troughs provide a good source for water for all the wildlife, not just deer, the hogs and the birds and everything else like it. There's lots of quail down here, and these quail, I've seen these quail just line up around the bottom of that little old trough right there and stand there and get them a belly full of water when they're eating. Now you can see I got some corn down here, and the reason why I do that is because I like to try to count how many birds are coming up here sometimes to see how many quail are actually coming around. I'm not a quail hunter, but I do like to see them. Another thing that you might want to do is get you a good camera, a cell camera, or any kind of camera. I'll put a link to this down there in the description down there, but one of these cell cameras right here, they're not that expensive, and put it on there so whenever you're sitting in your office or you're at work or wherever you're at, you can see when animals and stuff like that actually come to your water trough, and it's kind of a good feeling of satisfaction to know that you're providing this service for these animals, but you get to see what's coming up, not just on your feeder or on a food plot or whatever it is you got set up. So this is just kind of a tip. This is very cheap to do. I had this old trough and a piece of sheet metal laying around. The only thing I actually bought was that float from Tractor Supply and about 5 foot of PVC pipe. The other stuff I had kind of laying around and made this out of. It's pretty easy to do. So, it doesn't have to be this particular type pipe. You don't have to go buy something very expensive or very fancy. You can make a trough like this. Just make sure it's shallow enough where the little animals can get in it and get back out of it with it, so it doesn't taint your water if one of them was to die in it or something like that. So that's really key. It don't have to be deep for them to get a drink. Just know that. So hopefully this helps, guys. I'm just trying to provide some tips, and it don't have to be South Texas. Any place where you're trying to concentrate animals, like around a feeder or a food plot or something like that, if there's a water source right there, you're going to see game animals there, and you're going to see them more often, because when they start using that, they know it's there, and you keep it full for them all the time, they're going to come back to it every day. So I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Please like and subscribe to my videos, and even share them with your friends. Hopefully that somebody can get some good information out of this. I'll see you guys on the next one.